My boyfriend's sister is obsessed with him, and I think it's crossing the line.
The Lannisters send their regards.
Oh, God. My boyfriend, 19 male, and I, 20 female, have been dating for a little over 3 years now. He has one sister, 25 female, who I feel is obsessed with him. I was blind to it at the beginning of our relationship, but over the last year, it's been showing more and more. And by the way, this comes from user throwaway 080321, and if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OKStorytime subreddit. So, she calls him repeatedly 5 or 6 times in a row, along with multiple texts if he doesn't answer immediately. We'll be hanging out with friends or on a date, and she'll just do this to see what he's doing. Annoying in any context, doing that to someone. No matter who you are, that's annoying.
So you're saying I shouldn't do that to you, Dakota?
Don't do that to a single person. Don't do that to anyone. Anytime we go somewhere, she has to know where he's going, what he's doing, who he'll be with, and what time he'll be home. A couple weeks ago, she came into his room while we were laying in bed watching a show and called him my love, just to tell him his phone was low on battery. On another occasion, she sat down and petted his bare chest while talking to him. Completely unnecessary. She has his location and watched it like a hawk 24/7, sometimes just showing up wherever we were without warning. All of the red flags, please. All of them. I need them in this story right now. I have a sister that we occasionally hang out with. When we do, my boyfriend gets texts from his sister or her boyfriend saying things like, thanks for cheating on us, or thanks for the invite. She has a boyfriend? And she's still treating her brother this way? This is crazy. Okay, we gotta keep going. Really immature stuff. Last Thursday, we were driving home from the store when she and her boyfriend conveniently showed up on the same road. When we ignored them driving next to us, they sped past and she flipped us off out the window. My boyfriend started a new job in April that made him extremely tired, so he doesn't really talk to her or anyone else right now. This made her freak out, thinking he was mad at her. She complained to their mom, who then asked me about it like I had something to do with it, which I didn't. I've expressed my concerns to my boyfriend, and he sees the problem, but has trouble saying anything because she gets overdramatic and freaks out. He recently stopped sharing his location with her, and she's pissed about it, constantly requesting access again. Buddy, the block button exists.
There's such thing as codependent. This is beyond that by like 1,000 miles.
I wonder if there was some kind of something that happened. Like, this almost sounds like, it feels like a trauma response or like a trauma bond. Like someone has, that's crazy to me.
I think it could also, there could be some level of like neurospiciness with the sister, maybe, where she is just so, like, she's grown up with him. She's so dependent on him. She's used to him being like a constant presence in her life. And just the way she's wired, she just can't take that change. It's so foreign to her, and she's feel like she's losing it. And because of the way she's wired, it elicits this response. It's not at all excusing it. You need help, but that could be something that is prompting this kind of behavior.
That could be. On the 4th of July, my boyfriend got a little too wasted, so I drove him home. The second we walked in, she ran out of the bathroom to take over caring for him, even though I had it handled and I'm perfectly capable. I feel like she's threatened by me and is low-key obsessed with her younger brother. There are many other incidents I could never fit into this post. Any advice, please? And we have some additional comments, but honestly...
Wait a minute, this is the younger brother?
Yes, he's 19, and the older sister is 25.
I lost that in the insanity of this all.
Yeah, I think it's what needs to be done is your brother needs to make it very clear how he's feeling and that he thinks this is kind of crazy and that it needs to be like, we need to calm down. And then if he says that and sister still can't respect his wishes, then we need to start putting up boundaries and limiting contact.
I'm going to update my potential motivation behind it. I think a lot of this depends on the relationship with parents. If the parents aren't very present, and potentially it's sister who raised the brother, that could be a very ultra-paternal instinct that the sister has developed because of that, and that bond, and she feels like she's losing him because of the the girlfriend now.
Yeah, OP
So
even said,
I-
like, she
yeah.
feels more like a mom.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that the parents probably didn't raise
Yeah.
either of them. So it was left to the two to fend for themselves.
Let's see if we can gather some more information here. In the additional comments, are they blood relatives? OP says, yes, 100%. They are blood relatives. A commenter says, how does your boyfriend feel about her behavior? In general, does his sister have her own life? I mean, does she have like a job, her own apartment? She should be focusing on her own life and not her brother's. OP says, he just says that she has always been like this. He just tells me he will create boundaries, but I think he's scared to make her mad. She's a nurse and engaged to a boyfriend of 8 years. She still lives at home with him and their parents. A commenter replies, I don't think there will be any boundaries until one of them moves out. Why is he afraid of his sister? Are the parents aware or are they totally oblivious? OP says, I think he's just scared to make her mad or something. I'm not exactly sure. He doesn't like talking about this subject since it usually leads to an argument. Their mom told my boyfriend, we need to get along, but I'm not ever rude and I just don't talk to her anymore. Commenter says, wow, that's a lot. Very odd of her to be so obsessed. At least he turned off his location. I wonder what her boyfriend really thinks about all this. OP says, I don't think her boyfriend sees the problem since he will take part in some of the things that she does. He also had my boyfriend's location, but it was just recently stopped being shared a couple of days ago. Are they just like fake surrogate parents? Like, this is insane. This is insane.
It's not normal behavior in the least.
Another commenter says, what does your boyfriend have to say about all of this? This is a suggestion, what she should say. Hey, I think we need to sit down and talk about setting some boundaries with your sister. It's obvious she doesn't respect me or our relationship. How would a talk like that go with him if you said that? OP says, he says boundaries will be set, but then an opportunity arises to get a said boundary, and he does not do it. And there is an update. However, what are we suggesting?
It's not going to stop. If he's already passed on several opportunities to have boundaries and he's just excusing it over and over again as she's always been like this, she's always been like this, it's never going to stop. She's going to have her own kids and maybe she'll even like neglect her own actual kids to deal with him. I think they need to have boundaries and distance, and until there is something that forces them apart, it's going to be bad. And even if they're forced apart, I don't know if she will just continue to blow his phone up and keep checking on him relentlessly.
Let's see what we got in this next update. First off, the good news is we're still together, and now we're engaged. Okay, congratulations.
Happy.
Back in October, shortly after my original post, his sister finally moved out. That was amazing, and things calmed down for a while. I've honestly blocked out some of what happened, but there are a few major events I remember clearly. At the beginning of this year, my fiance and I were looking to buy a house about 35 to 45 minutes from our hometown. When we told his parents, his mom completely shut down and was obviously upset. She tried listing every reason we shouldn't do it, but I had answers for everything. She acted like a child for days, barely talking, and when she did speak, it was to criticize our plan. We ended up not buying the house, partly due to her lack of support and partly for work-related reasons. Things stayed relatively calm for a couple more months, aside from the usual location requests. My fiance and I have had many long, serious talks about his family, and we've chosen each other every time. He sees the issues now and has cut his sister off. Let's go! Since we still live with his parents until our wedding next year, he'll say hello if she's around, but that's about it. The final straw happened in April, around 1 a.m. on a Friday night. I started getting multiple calls from blocked numbers. I didn't answer at first, but then my fiance started getting them too, so we picked up. On the line were a couple of girls claiming they had been with my fiance the night before and the week before, saying they had done the horizontal mambo with him. They were trying to convince me he was cheating. I knew immediately it was a lie. We recognized the voice as his sister and one of her friends, and they called 15 to 20 more times, kept changing their story, and couldn't keep their details straight. We finally confronted them by name and told them to stop. I was furious and got on the phone telling her this is why we don't talk to you anymore. You need to grow up. You're almost 30. My fiance told his parents about the prank calls, but they denied she would ever do something like that. Oh, so the parents don't know how crazy she is about the brother. A few days later, she admitted it to him and laughed it off, calling it a joke. She didn't care and never really apologized. That was the moment he completely cut her off. His mom didn't help matters. She ended up yelling at my fiance, saying I was the new variable ruining the family. Then at the end of April, it was his sister's birthday. We had already decided not to attend the family dinner because it was also my mom's birthday. We were going to her celebration instead. During my mom's dinner, his mom sent him multiple texts saying she was disappointed and that he broke her heart by not choosing her. When he didn't respond, his dad texted, "When you come home, don't bring your woman with you." You mean my fiance? You mean my soon-to-be wife?
This is all sorts of ridiculously disrespectful and unhinged. Also, like, to the sister, do you not realize that your brother knows what your voice sounds like?
Yeah, just what an absolute no-brain move on sister's part. Like, just unbelievable. My fiance went home to talk to his parents while I stayed at my parents' house. In the front yard, his dad lectured him about how blood is thicker than water and that no one should come before your blood family. My fiance asked if his mom came first in his dad's life, and his dad said no, which honestly blew my mind. And by the way, it'll blow your mind how you can listen to full episodes with stories just like this one on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime, and you'll be able to listen to over 70 days worth of stories. It's like 1,600 hours.
My mind is so blown.
Blown. Wide open. Let's finish this story. Fast forward to June when his mom insisted we have a face-to-face family meeting. It was awful. I confronted his sister directly, but she had nothing to say, so most of the conversation ended up being between me and her fiancé. My fiancé did defend me, so I wasn't entirely on my own. Since that day, there's been no further drama. His sister remains cut off from our lives. We're happy, planning to move out as soon as possible, and we're looking forward to our wedding. And that is the end of that story. Wonderful. Focus on y'all, the perfect thing to do.
I feel like I'm competing for my husband's attention because of his sisters.
Oh, not the sisters!
When I started developing relationships with my new sisters-in-law, I noticed some quirks from the both of them. At first, I chalked it up to the language barrier, despite their near-perfect English, then wondering if I was overreacting or misunderstanding what they meant. After letting minor comments and actions slide, it seems like they amped things up to see how much they could get away with. I only brought this to my husband's attention when they started doing more blatant things, but he still defends one of them. By the way, this comes from Consistent Total 764, and if you want to submit your own stories, just go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, my husband's older sister practically worships the ground he walks on. She's obsessed with him. She even uses a POV photo I took of my husband as her phone wallpaper. Creepy.
Okay.
I don't like.
Do you have anyone else you could maybe make that your background?
Red flag number 1. That wouldn't be such a big deal if it weren't for the fact that the photo is shot as if the photographer is about to lean in and kiss him, something you'd expect to see as a significant other's wallpaper. Red flag 2.
Yeah, that's the red flag there.
That's a whole separate red flag.
Yeah.
Same photo, 2 red flags. I excused the smaller things, but when the wallpaper incident happened, I was grossed out and upset because it's completely inappropriate. After this, I tremendously cut down communication with her, as my husband advised only speaking to her when necessary. She messaged me a week later, asking what I'd been up to and saying she missed me. Sweet, I thought. Maybe I was overreacting after all. I briefly told her I'd been busy and mentioned that in my free time, I played some video games. 2 or 3 days after this conversation, she proceeded to make her entire personality about playing video games. Red flag 3. She posted Snapchat stories about video games nonstop that were so long you couldn't even see which snap you were on when viewing her story. They were 30 minutes or longer, no exaggeration. I became very upset because I can't stand people like this. It reminds me of obnoxious pick-me girls in high school. She effectively made herself into a total gamer girl overnight. Again, I'm disgusted by this behavior because why is she trying so hard to intimidate and compete with me? I didn't replace the sister role. I'm literally his wife. This behavior is absolutely disgusting to me. Okay, so Dakota, what do you think is going on here with older sister?
I think there's people's brains just short circuit when they feel like territorial
Mm-hmm.
about like relatives or people. And it's like the only person who can set this straight is like the relative in question. Your partner like needs to go to his sister and say enough is enough.
His younger sister, on the other hand, is an outright witch. And she even admits she can be annoying and rude sometimes. She's made straight up discriminatory comments towards me, suggested my husband doesn't treat me as well as he would a girl from back home, and even tried to plan my wedding as if it were her own. Red flag. Again. My husband and I are already married, but we plan to have a ceremony later in his home country to celebrate with his family. His younger sister has sent me several photos of near white or full white extravagant dresses she says she'll wear to my wedding, as well as several over-the-top hairstyles, like those from Bridgerton, that she says she'll have done especially for my wedding. My husband comes from a culture with very tight family bonds, which has made this even more difficult. I've talked to him about this, and he insists the older sister is just socially awkward and so innocent she doesn't understand what she's doing was wrong. He says he can't mention it to her. I'm made to feel like I'm wrong for believing this is strange behavior.
Yeah, that's crazy because if she really is completely innocent, why would you not mention it to her? It's like, hey, innocent sister who doesn't know what she's doing, let me inform you on what it is you're doing. You can't wear white to the wedding, and you can't have a hairstyle so outrageous it makes you look like the bride.
Right. And also, if you are aware that her behavior is inappropriate, as the ones who know, it is, if you care for this sister, your responsibility to correct her behavior so she doesn't get in trouble. Like, imagine if like all the family's like gone or doing something else, right? And she does this with someone who does not take any of that nonsense. She's in trouble. And because she doesn't know, because you didn't teach her, there is a little bit of culpability knowing that she behaves like this.
Yeah, if that is what's really going on.
Right. I don't think that's actually what's going on.
I think she knows what she's doing.
But if that's their excuse, poking holes.
Exactly.
He said he would address this with them, but never has and keeps putting it off. With the rude sister, at least he can agree she's wrong. But he still won't bring this up to either of them. I can't stand either of them, and it's to the point where I don't even want to meet them in person or move anywhere near them because I can see how they are as people and know it will just get worse. I want to stay in another country altogether, no closer than flying distance. I'm starting to question if I made the right decision getting married because my husband gets offended when I even suggest setting boundaries or addressing them, as if I'm asking him to cut them out of his life. I don't want the rest of my life to be me avoiding his family events. Recently, he's come around and is slightly more understanding, but he still defends the older sister 100% as if she's done nothing wrong. I really love him, and I want this to work, but I know it may never work if he can't even see where I'm coming from. I don't know how to address this with him any further, and the bigger issue now is him defending his sisters no matter what while not being willing to pick up the phone and stand up for his wife. Do you have any advice? And there are some comments, but what would your advice first off be, Dakota?
I think you try to flip the script. You're like, what if I had a brother? What if I had a brother and he was doing exactly what your sister was doing? Would you feel like it was chill? If I was just like, no, it's okay. Like, I'm sure that would make him go, no, but it's different. And it's like, well, no, how is it different? It's exactly what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. I think that the husband needs some outside perspective. So either get a neutral third party, like a family friend who like knows both of you pretty well, or someone who's like paid to do this, like a therapist or something, or just spend time away with each other, like no contact from them, like go on vacation, no contact, something like that, so that you can just be together and not have to worry about their outside influence. Because I think it sounds like together they're great, but whenever the family comes in, that's when the tensions start.
Yeah, it's all coming from the fam.
All right, here are the comments. Comment number 1. I bet his parents have coddled the two sisters and treated them like precious spoiled brats. So even he believes on some level that they're perfect angels. I think he's slowly coming around to understand that what they do is wrong, but it's difficult for him to go against the family habit of treating these sisters like perfect little angels. So he's fighting the realization that these sisters are pretty gross, while also dealing with a family culture that insists they're wonderful. His family is very tight-knit, so he might be afraid of what standing up to them will mean. I hope he'll realize that no woman is going to accept the way his sisters behave, so he has to fight this fight sooner or later, or else forever be single. The first sister sounds like she has no personality or very low self-esteem, and there's something going on with her spicy brain. I think she's a copycat who copies everyone about her to try to get in their shoes. It was pretty gross that she tried to be you as if she could get into her brother's pants.
Yes.
That's some serious family dynamic issues that need a heavily paid therapist. Again, therapy is your friend.
Therapy is always your friend.
The other sister sounds like a bad person, and the only way she's agreeing to be in this wedding is if you spend a lot of money and lavish attention on her. That's not a good look. I think the real problem is that your husband says this is a tight-knit family, but I don't think that's true. I don't even think he realizes it. I think a lot of this family dynamic is fake and cultured, and the siblings aren't very close at all. I think he's terrified to lose them because that's what the family has always been. These aren't healthy relationships. You coming into this family will mean having a relationship with your husband and probably not much with the other two women. That's the only way I see this working. As your husband starts to stand up for you more, it will alienate him more from the family culture that treats the sisters like perfect angels. If he's this afraid of being cut off from the family, it makes me wonder if he has a good reason for that fear. We've already seen unhealthy behaviors here. I wonder if he's terrified of being outcast and having no one to talk to him for a decade if he doesn't grovel and worship. I don't think you'll have much traction asking him to do abstract things like talk to someone. He's too afraid of being cut off. You'll have better results asking him to do specific, concrete things. Please don't send any pictures of us to your sister because I don't like what she's doing with them. Is more specific and actionable. Also, who are you throwing this big wedding for? I understand you're already married and this wedding is for the family, but keep in mind, this wedding isn't for his side of the family. You don't like them and they don't like you. Don't feel like you have to throw away thousands of dollars for a horrible nightmare that nobody will enjoy. If it's going to be like that, you might as well keep your money and go on a nice vacation instead. OP says, I 10,000% agree. I have no desire to throw any type of party just so his family can run around and play dress up, and I've expressed this. However, it seems to be a non-negotiable for him because it's what the family wants. I had a small family, mostly just my mom's side. I think there's some disconnect because I was pushed to learn that mom and dad aren't always right, and it's okay to live your own path in life even if it doesn't please your family. He kind of went against the grain marrying me since I'm from outside the culture, and it took some convincing with his dad. I think he doesn't want to rock the boat anymore because people already assume I'm the evil Westerner coming to assert my individualistic ideologies on their codependent, collectivistic culture. Each time we discuss this, he gets defensive and always acts as if I asked him to go no contact with his family. I would never ask him to do something like that, but the mere thought of discussing some dysfunction is scary for him, I guess. And there is an update, so we'll get to that next, but
Yeah, I don't know. I think this might be like a dude, if you're unwilling to change this, I'm gonna walk away. Like if you can't stand up for me in this situation, what's the next situation you won't stand up for me? You know? Like, and I don't believe in using ultimatums to get what we want in relationships, but like, that might be one of the only things that makes him like wake up like, oh, like this is okay.
it's also
I have to
like,
choose.
I think an ultimatum's okay if it's a safety thing. Like, this is not a safe family for her to be around because they're always criticizing her and assaulting her mental health and trying to like take over their wedding with thousands of dollars. It's not healthy for OP to be so judged and feeling so marginalized.
Right.
And husband's gonna have to pick. There's a line in the sand where you can have a relationship with your family, but it changes once you bring someone else into that. And I don't think he realizes that. And the relationship's not gonna work if he doesn't defend his wife.
Yeah.
Like he should.
Yeah.
So let's get to this update, shall we? After reading some comments on my previous post, I'm now contemplating possibly getting a divorce.
Oh, well, okay.
Husband, it's choice time, buddy boy.
It's the time has come.
After thinking about it today, I'm starting to realize that this small issue will only get worse because I can't make my husband give a crap about his sisters treating me poorly. He'll probably always defend them before his wife until he realizes himself that he needs to change and maybe defend his wife when she's treated poorly. You know something you don't have to defend, guys? Listening to this full episodes of podcasts and stories like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple, iHeart, wherever you listen to podcasts, search up OK Storytime and listen to 70 days worth of stories.
Yes.
Just like this one.
There's no way to defend. The tidal wave of stories will overcome any defense. It is an onslaught.
The only defense you need is more OK Storytime.
That's right.
So there's another update, but how are you feeling about the potential of divorce here? Do you think it's going to wake him up?
I think that, maybe, I mean, I'm hoping that OP is expressing this to, fiance or her husband, instead of just into the void of the internet. But, it needs to be, it's unfortunate. And I kind of flip-flop on this, but it's all contextually dependent. It's like you're marrying into another family. And so if that other family is going to be a negative impact on you, like other family members, it's really important that your partner can acknowledge that and y'all can work through it or around it together as a united front instead of being like, oh, I'm constantly having to fight these battles alone.
Like there's family A, there's family B, but you're also making family C.
Right, exactly.
Putting this union together.
Yeah, and if you can't prioritize the new family you're making as equally, at least, important as the family you already have, then I think that's fundamentally a huge problem.
If he can't choose now, OP, and stick to it, then divorce is the only way that either of them will be happy.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that, yeah.
So to this update, he truly is a great guy in my opinion, but he doesn't get the concept of taking a step back from his immediate family and starting his own. Family C, there you go. I don't want to live a life where my opinions and thoughts about how we raise our children are constantly overshadowed by what he and his family think. I'm not going to make any rash decisions. I'm just contemplating it right now and will seek out counseling for myself at least, since he doesn't believe in going to couples therapy.
Ooh.
That is a big thing because he's not even willing to negotiate now.
Yeah, come on.
Regardless, I'll try to ask him again and convey how important this is to me to see if we can save this. I don't want to get a divorce, but if he isn't willing to compromise whatsoever and draw boundaries, I don't want to live a miserable life where I'm always second to his family. I keep imagining a future with this issue, and it honestly looks absolutely miserable. This is crappy to say, but at least I'm still relatively young, and hopefully if this doesn't work out, I have a chance to find someone who to marry later on who actually cares about how I'm treated. And unfortunately, that is the end of this story, but I think OP kind of got it on the head. Like, I think maybe together, they're great. It's just, he can't disentangle himself enough from his family and culture to be the individual that she needs him to be all the time.
Yeah.
When it's them alone, he can do it. But when faced with the outside pressure is going to win.
Yeah.
She's never going to be the priority.
Yeah. My mother-in-law kept inserting herself into our lives, and I can't forgive her.
I object,
Your Honor. I'm 26, female, 39 weeks, and 4 days pregnant with my third daughter. My husband, 27 male, and I had his mom over to help care for my 2 older daughters from my previous marriage while we awaited our third daughter's arrival. She came during the second to last week of my pregnancy and initially was helpful, taking the girls to the beach and park while we prepared for baby and school. By the way, this comes from user GoldTooth99 on the r/CharlotteDobre YouTube subreddit. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, for context, I'm not the type who likes being the center of attention. Being pregnant has cast me into that position with my husband's family and coworkers, and I've struggled with the discomfort of constantly being asked about pregnancy. I've realized I don't appreciate that most people have made pregnancy my entire identity, only interested in my growing belly rather than getting to know me as a person. I like to maintain my identity outside of being a parent, pregnancy, and marriage. My husband shares this sense of autonomy, and we have an amazing relationship as a result. I've told him that just because I'm pregnant doesn't mean I'm completely incapacitated. If I need help, I'll ask, but I'd like to be treated like a normal person. He's been great at being equally curious about our baby while helping me feel normal. I had a hard time early in pregnancy adjusting to all the changes and fell into a depressive pit for a couple months. But with his support, I became excited for my new life and welcomed the change with confidence. Back to mother-in-law. Almost every day, she asked how I felt, and I began getting annoyed. I had lost part of my mucus plug the day she arrived. Plug! And for the next 4 days, I had bits of the bloody show, but no rupturing of membranes. My husband and I are excited and impatient, but we know it'll happen when it happens. I tried to be open and answer her questions, but I began feeling pressured to perform. The little contractions I'd been having stopped. There were no more signs labor was near, and I slowly realized the lack of relaxation may have stalled my labor. A couple nights into her stay, she told us to go into our room and have relations to speed things along. All right, mother-in-law, you go home. You're no longer helping. Just go home. Get out of here.
There's an unspoken line that you don't. The reason it's unspoken is because you shouldn't have to speak it. She just crossed it very just willfully, no qualm.
Yeah, come on, mother-in-law. What do we do? I felt completely violated by her comment and told my husband it made me feel unsafe in my body. He shared the same sentiment, and we went to bed feeling very awkward. Having someone I didn't know well say something like that was wholly inappropriate, especially since she didn't know me enough to understand that I've been hurt by people in that way before. My husband felt uncomfortable that his own mom wanted him to perform and felt violated that she could make such a request. That's where the breakdown began. When I wasn't around, mother-in-law told my husband that the baby probably wouldn't be here while she was visiting. When he told me, I felt it was completely selfish of her to feel entitled to the birth when she wouldn't be experiencing my labor pain. Later that evening, she asked, "Are we having a baby tomorrow?" I very bluntly replied, "No. No, we aren't having anything because I'm having the baby, not you." I became irate with the pressure to perform for her and simply wasn't having it anymore. I've been communicating my discomfort with my husband since she kept asking if we were going to have a baby, as if all three of us were involved. For the next couple days,
I'm getting the image of the meme where it's like Soviet Russia. We are having baby. This is our baby.
I feel like this is just what happens with like hyper helicopter moms or like moms who are like, I've always wanted to be a grandparent. And then it's like, you just have to respect that this is a process happening outside of you. And you get to be involved later, grandparent. But in terms of the pregnancy and the baby being born, not you. That is not something that is happening to you. At the very most, it could be something that's happening to her and her husband. But not you.
Your labor pains our baby.
Yeah, come on. For the next couple days, I became increasingly avoidant of her both vocally and physically without giving a dang how it made her feel. In my head, she's a visitor in our lives, and for her to have said something like that was meddlesome. I'm also not great at addressing things like this. I assume people know what not to talk about, but I'm also non-confrontational. It's time to get confrontational. We got to tell mom this absolutely needs to stop, and whether it's you or husband, needs to be like, we need to start changing the way that we're talking about the pregnancy and we're talking about the baby because you're impacting my wife's well-being and by extension, the baby's well-being. The baby that you care so much about, mother, or, come on. When I felt like I needed to get out of the house, my husband and I left together. And on those small outings, I began feeling contractions again. But when we got home, I felt like we were walking on eggshells in our own home and all signs of labor stopped. She would follow us from room to room without even trying to make conversation, just sitting in our space. She made a point of bossing my husband around about taking the dogs out and feeding them, making him feel like she viewed him as a child rather than a grown man. She also said she woke up early to make sure we were up for the girls' open house at their new school, which annoyed him because he felt she viewed him as incapable of being responsible for the kids. He voiced his frustrations to me, the wrong person. He should be doing this to his mom, and I let him know I was aware of how she was treating him and had his back. She also seemed not to care that our family didn't share her dietary beliefs, but tried to get us to eat what she ate. My husband and kids don't like mushrooms or sweet potatoes because of texture, but she made them for the entire family knowing this, and burned food into my dishes without apology or cleaning them. My husband countered by making mashed potatoes and steamed veggies for himself and my girls. She would use my dishes and set them aside for her own use without regard that we might also need them. My daughters and I are Native American, and fry bread is a cultural staple passed down through years. It's made by hand like naan bread. Mother-in-law made a comment about my daughters having their hands all over the dough while I was having a teaching moment with them, making my eldest daughter feel weird. I assured her that her grandma, great-grandma, and I have made bread like this for years, and it would be okay. She had washed her hands and tied up her hair, so I didn't see an issue, and that's because there wasn't one. Folks, you're going to lose your mind when you realize every restaurant you've ever eaten at. Do you know that hands are touching your food? And they're not always gloved. Just clean hands that have been washed are handling your meal before it's prepared. And if you can't handle that, then I guess you should be cooking all of your food just for yourself.
Also, have you never seen like any footage of someone making bread? They're always using their hands to knead the dough.
Crazy.
There might be rolling pins, but they like touch the dough and move it, and then they'll roll it. But you knead the dough with your hands.
It's crazy. I didn't even think about that. She's like, she's got her hands all up in the dough. It's like, yeah, that's where you put your hands when you make bread, genius. What are we talking about?
Also, I know from just reading and stuff that like fry bread is very, very protected by Native American communities because it has so much cultural and historical meaning for them. And like, I'm sure that mother-in-law has no idea and no care
0%.
whatsoever.
Yeah.
But like for her to try to coach this Native American woman about fry bread is beyond colonizer audacious.
Yeah, it's insane behavior. Mother-in-law and my husband are white. My husband knows how I make bread by hand and doesn't mind. He's open to cultural differences and receptive to learning about people through food. I was offended she didn't clean the burn off of my pans, and she rarely helped with cleaning aside from loading the dishwasher and doing laundry, which initially felt helpful until it began feeling like I'd end up owing her for help when she was supposedly here to help while I tried to facilitate labor naturally and peacefully. Yesterday, my daughters had their first day of school, so I got up early with my husband and got them on the bus. I went back to sleep and woke up hours later, showered, and took myself out to lunch while waiting for the girls to get home. Sundays are my day out while my husband normally takes Saturdays. I didn't go out Sunday because I was focused on the girls' first day preparation, so I decided to go out Monday instead. While I was out, mother-in-law texted asking if I'd be home soon because she was locked out. I said yeah, but I was running errands. We'd given her a house key and she knew the garage door code. She then texted my husband, making it seem like I'd locked her out on purpose. He shared the text with me, and I shared what she'd asked me. I didn't grow up in the nicest places, so I'm accustomed to locking up before going anywhere. Lock your doors wherever you are. Don't let anyone ever gaslight you into saying you shouldn't lock your doors. That's crazy.
I've lived in apartments with friends where we didn't lock our doors, and it's not like when something happens or when you think like, oh God, did we get broken into? Like, it clicks real quick in your brain. Oh, this is why you lock your door.
Yeah, oh, that's why I'm lock my doors. Gotcha. She told him I was rude, didn't apologize for locking her out, and gave no Fs about how she felt. Yeah, true. She said I made her feel unwelcome and played the victim. My husband called to let me know he was heading home to talk to her and didn't know what to say. I let him know again why I felt avoidant and that despite what she said, I didn't feel she was owed an apology because her actions had been adverse to myself, him, and my kids. I wouldn't tolerate the disrespect whether she was aware or not. I told him I'd head home to get my girls off the bus and be with him for whatever he was about to walk into. We were on the exact same page. I got home and she was raising her voice at him, saying I locked her out intentionally and was owed an apology. Let's remember she knows the door code for the garage. So
Plus
this is a
also,
non-issue.
She was given a key.
Yeah, that you, I guess, didn't take care of. She also stated I was rude and my kids were terrible, to which he said he wouldn't allow her to disrespect me. He let her know we were both uncomfortable with her for our own reasons and felt that if anyone was owed an apology, it was us for her lack of regard for our boundaries. She kept trying to play victim, and I could see my husband becoming aggravated, so I stepped in. I tried steering the conversation back to peaceful discussion, but she refused to understand where we were coming from and continued victimizing herself. She felt entitled to thanks for offering help and made it seem like I was ungrateful, which I never was. She said I should apologize for purposefully locking her out when I knew she had a key. At every turn, I shut down her excuses while she continued grasping at straws. It ended with her slamming our front door and leaving back to Ohio while we calmed down enough to get the girls from the bus stop. We don't know where to go from here, but my husband and I talked about it all, and he realized she had an emotionally toxic relationship with him, always meddling in his life because she had no control of her own. In our private conversations while she was here, we had talked about her strange behavior, and when the shoe dropped, we worked as a unit. And by the way, we're constantly dropping more episodes with stories just like this on Spotify, iHeartRadio, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime and you can listen to all of them. Over 70 days worth.
No relationship with OK Storytime is toxic.
Absolutely not. You can keep us in your earlobes all day long. Now, we have a little bit more story left, but honestly, I feel like the trash just took itself out. You know, you did not let her get away with her sort of gaslighting and her lies. And when she realized she couldn't get away with it anymore, she just left. So I feel like you're going to have that baby any day now.
I'm proud of this husband for standing up for his new family. So you don't really see that in a lot of these stories.
Yeah.
It's good to see that it does exist.
It does happen, folks. Standing on business for your partner does happen. Now let's see if she gives birth to this kid. Mother-in-law has 3 other kids who don't speak to her. So I guess we figured out why. My husband has a daughter from a previous marriage that he can't legally be around much because of, quote, anger issues that I believe stemmed from his mom. His previous marriage fell apart because she got between him and his wife before. She even went so far as to keep husband's father away from him for most of his life. And now, as adults, husband and his father have been navigating their relationship successfully. Mother-in-law has no contact with any of her family, and I had always wondered why. I was raised in a similar environment, so when it came to figuring this out, I always heard him out and told him what it looked like to me. I told him he could come to his own conclusions, and I would support him regardless of how he felt. Now we're just rebuilding after the blow-up and staying united on all fronts. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? No, you're not. Of course not.
Like 0%. You were very gracious and opened up your home to this woman who, according to like all these indications, delayed your birth by giving you stress.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we don't need to be catering to anyone here. She was clearly a negative. All of her other children are no contact with her. She was already directly, it sounds, responsible for the implosion of your husband's previous marriage, which I guess is a good thing because then he got to marry you. But but anyway, yeah, very complicated, and you don't need any of that. You just let her be and stay away, low to no contact.